Dilip Bhatt is now joining us. Dilip, first a view on the markets. Last 20 days, we have seen M2D decline in the market versus global markets being higher. What is the view?
Good afternoon. I think the markets possibly are being impacted by the negative FII inflows, where it seems on a very macro, on a strategic basis and tactical basis, it's probably shifting to China, Taiwan, and Korea. That is what we understand. And possibly that is impacting our market. And we all know that without a very good FII inflow or support, it's very difficult for markets to really move up. And we are seeing that the participation of even the retail is getting reduced, increasingly more so in the last couple of months. So I think that broadly explains. But having said that, without any doubt, our markets are not cheap. And as what I've always been telling, that considering the fact that the QT quantitative tightening is happening, and we all are going to experience that elevated rate of interest and of course the inflation, even though it's going to come down, but I think internationally that still will continue to be a hangover for India. So all said and done, with the mixed economic reports that are coming, though India is very well placed, I think markets possibly will face headwinds, and possibly I think it should remain range bound, and any attempt to scale a new top will result in a lot of volatility for the markets.
Right. So what should one do in this volatility? Is it difficult to, look at the markets? Volatility is your friend, or you should identify stocks, and when there is a substantial correction, you should probably look to buy them?
Well, I think in these kind of markets where it is a little bit uncertain at the moment, without any doubt, I think SIP buying, SIP way of investment or deferred buying or gradual buying is the best way out for anybody who is thinking on a long-term basis. Because without any doubt, I think on a longer-term basis for next 2 to 3 years, India is the place. And the way the government has acted, I think full marks to them, that they have ensured that India's perception remains pretty good in terms of the FDI inflow, in terms of the FIIs. So I think all said and done, long-term certainly looks good, but in the immediate short run, maybe 6 months to 12 months, markets will remain range bound. So I think we should look for an SIP way of investing in this particular markets and gradually entering the markets without being in a hurry to buy.
Consumption, the best story still to play?
The best sectors to play?
Yeah, is consumption still the best story in India to play?
So I think discretionary consumption certainly is one of the stories, because what we have seen is that there is going to be a gradual revival in demand in the villages, in the rural areas, and even the urban consumption should gradually move up. But I would say that one of the best ways of playing a discretionary consumption, I think banks certainly fall in that category, in my opinion. I think the credit growth will be reasonably good on an overall basis. So I think banks with a much cleaner balance sheet and with a much cleaner slate that we are starting on, I think the ROAs, the ROEs, and the NIIs also will look pretty good and impressive. So I think, though not to forget the fact that all these banks have run up quite a bit,
right,
whether it's PSU banks or private banks, but still
exactly.
I think one should buy them.
No, that's exactly my question to you, Dilip. We have seen a bit of run-up both in the public sector and private sector banking names. Which names still look attractive to you?
So I think I would say that a private sector name like HDFC Bank, which has been not in the reckoning for quite some time now, because it has really underperformed the bank Nifty, as also the fact that it, as compared to the other peers, it has not performed. So HDFC Bank looks pretty interesting in the private bank space. I would say that Axis Bank also looks pretty interesting, but in the PSU space, I would still go for something like an SBI. I would still go for something like a Canara Bank or BNB on a longer term basis. And smaller banks also look pretty interesting, whether it's a South Indian bank, that looks pretty good. Karnataka Bank looks pretty good. I think some of these banks have in them that for next 6 months to 12 months, they can give a reasonably very good returns, at least for next 6 to 12 months.
The next 6 to 12 months, some of these banking names look quite interesting. But Dilip, if I wanted to ask you your top bets in terms of stocks, apart from the banking names, what would those 2 or 3 stocks be?
Well, I think Larsen Toubro looks pretty interesting. That's one of the stocks which has not really fared all that well, considering the fact that it has got such a huge order book position. But I think some of the parameters are very distinctly improving, whether it is the cash flows, whether it is the working capital cycle. The order book was always very good. I think the execution cycle is going to improve from here on, because infra is one of the infra and the capital goods space, one of the sectors that we are eyeing. And I think Larsen Toubro, the way it has played out in the last couple of years, it has not really broadly participated in the market. So I think Larsen Toubro looks pretty good, interesting, underpriced. And I think pharma sector is another sector that we like quite a bit. I think within that, Sun Pharma possibly is one of the stocks that one should bet on. I think that's a stock which can, increasingly can give better returns. And I think performance-wise also, we think that they will come back to 18 to 20% bottom line growth by 23, 24. And I think the way the stock is gradually moving up, that is a stock that one can think about in the pharma space. Pharma looks pretty interesting. So I think these 2 stocks look pretty good from the investor's point of view.
Sure. Thanks, Dilip, for joining us today. Appreciate your time today. But